the moment we have all been waiting for. In some ways, we've been waiting a week. In others, longer than that. Time to see what this successful, exciting 76ers team can do as the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, getting ready for postseason action. Tobias Harris live on the floor inside the center as the Sixers get ready for the Washington Wizards in the opening round. Coming off a brilliant season, all-star caliber, all league for sure. And whether you're watching in the building in South Philly or other destinations like over at Xfinity Live, from your phone, on your couch, in other parts of the world, it is time for 76ers Nation to unite and get ready for what we hope, sincerely, is a long, successful, and fun 2021 playoff run. How you doing? And welcome to 7-6 Live Countdown. I'm Brian Seltzer. Lauren Rosen is courtside. The 76ers opening up the best-of-7 Eastern Conference Quarterfinals series today as the one seed hosting the Washington Wizards, which in exciting fashion emerged as one of two teams from the play-in tournament to take on the 76ers. Lauren, the wait, mercifully, finally, it is over.
Well, Celts, I loved the play-in tournament, and I love playoff basketball even more. When I walked into this building today, I got chills a little bit. I try not to get too caught up in the emotions of it all, but it's been quite the year. It's a group behind me that's really excited about what's to come, and I am too. I can't believe we made it this far.
76ers, of course, running their way to 49 wins in an amazing regular season in which they had a new head coach in Doc Rivers, a new president of basketball operations in Daryl Morey. It all came together. They weathered constant testing. They weathered players being available and not available, injuries, everything. And they emerged, Lauren, through it all as the top team in the East, so much anticipating what they might be able to do in this playoff run. And based on what we heard coming out of Camden this past week when the 76ers held a little bit of a training camp tune-up for the playoffs, it sounds like the whole squad is ready to go.
Well, they treated it exactly like they treated their December training camp, but with a lot more familiarity amongst each other. In December, it was a really new team, like you said, new coach, new front office staff. And now it's a team that knows each other, that's had success together, and has now had about a week to tune up everything that they've already learned as the season has gone along. It's the excitement, you can feel it all week long, and you can feel it today as well.
No question about it. This is the fourth straight year where the Philly Unite campaign has activated for the playoffs. It's something that now the fan base is familiar with. Great seeing Center City and other parts of the city come alive with signage for the postseason, all that stuff. Lauren, why don't you set the scene for us inside the building? Give us some more about the vibes. What are guys doing on the courts? All that good stuff.
Well, Celts, as has been the case all season long, there's a lot of smiling. These guys have been waiting for this opportunity. They've been having fun all season long, and today they have a chance to have fun and get the job done that they've been waiting for all season long. The vibes are strong. They're only going to get stronger as the center welcomes about 11,000 fans tonight. That's more than double what they've had all season long. Doc Rivers said he was really looking forward to it. The players, I know, are looking forward to it. And it has that buzz that games sort of used to have prior to this crazy year where you're just waiting for the energy to enter the building. It's been really cool so far, and it's only going to get better and louder for sure in here. I'm glad we're doing this when we are because I can actually hear you.
Well, for the Sixers, 11,000 fans expected to be in the building around that number for today's game, and we know how much of a home court advantage this team has. I think that's the other intriguing storyline, Lauren, surrounding today's game. Not only the 76ers, how they come out and perform, but also the extra layer of atmosphere that the fans can provide, because we know the Sixers have shown out for them over the years.
They've shown out for them over the years. They've shown out for them this season, holding the best at-home record in the Eastern Conference. This is a team that does not lose at home, whether or not there are fans in the building. They fought all season long to earn this home court advantage, and now it's time to defend it.
Doc Rivers spoke a few moments ago, setting the scene for today's game, and I think I like this, what he had to say on. I usually like what he has to say, but he was asked, how do you set up the series? How do you approach a game one? Because this is the first time that us in Philadelphia are going to have a chance to see Doc Rivers in action, how he goes about approaching a playoff series. So the first game of his first series as 76ers head coach, and he said, this really isn't the time to try a bunch of new stuff. You're just looking to refine some of the good that you've done in the larger body of work throughout the year.
Exactly, and the only new area or new-ish area that Doc has been willing to share with us this week is transition defense. So you know this is a team that finished second overall in defense rating this season, behind just the Los Angeles Lakers, despite really struggling when it came to transition defense. And we've heard from a lot of players this week talking about that, and that's somewhere that they really got to dig in this week and have some success and tune it up. Doc Rivers said he likes the improvements they've made, and there's still a little bit of ways to go. But this first series, obviously, an opportunity to do a lot of types of things in transition.
A very intriguing opponent on the opposite sideline for the 76ers, the Washington Wizards. Do we call them the 8th seed? Are they officially the 8th seed? I suppose they have to be, right? Yeah, we call them the 8th seed, not the second play-in seed, because they were 8th at the end of the regular season. They went on a tear to finish the year. They finished 4 games under 500, but this is a squad that closed the regular season at an incredible clip, second best winning percentage over their final 23 games in the entire league.
So they earned their way into this 8th seed. Bradley Beal, of course, the runner-up for the scoring title this season. Russell Westbrook having the assist title this season, and the two of them are a dangerous duo. They've been really good down the stretch in the regular season, and then, of course, in that game against Indiana, they came out hot, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a bit. It's been really cool to see the way that they have figured it out as the season has gone along. They had a nearly zero chance of making the playoffs. So credit where credit is due to the Washington Wizards for putting their foot on the gas late and keeping it.
One of my favorite sayings come playoff time is rest or rust. How often are we going to hear that? And certainly we've heard it a lot in recent days because the 76ers have not played a game since, well, you could make the case last Friday because a lot of the starters, all the starters rested in the regular season finale last Sunday. I think, though, Lauren, in the long run, the rest 100% wins out, as does talent, as does collective superiority. I think that for sure you can make the case, and this is all hypotheticals that we talk about before the start of the series, that Washington has been able to knock off some rust, stay fresh. They've played 2 games this week. They've also played 2 games over the past week, and the Sixers, it might take them a little bit. Who knows? I mean, really don't know. You could see a scenario in which it might take the Sixers a little bit to get their game like back underneath them, and Washington knows the urgent pace and intensity that this time of year demands. But I think in the long run, I favor everyone being rested, and it's great to see no one's on the injury report going into today's game.
Yeah, this is usually the part of our show where I run us through the injury report, and what a pleasure it is to not have to do that. It was an interesting conundrum that the Sixers faced. Do you want to have a lot of rest or do you not? And I think that they all came down on the same end of things. Tobias Harris a couple weeks ago said that one day off felt like a vacation. So 5-6 days with solid practices, with opportunities to watch film and opportunities to rest. Super, super welcome for this team. And now they'll have to, of course, get their footing under them a little bit quicker than the Wizards will have to get back in a rhythm. But I'm with you, Seltz. I think the rest is going to end up being key for this team. And maybe they can make a quick series out of this one and get a little bit more rest in a couple weeks.
I thought, Lauren, one of the cool things that came out of the media surrounding practices this past week was just the string of praiseworthy comments from 76ers players about Doc Rivers and the way he's gone about his job in his first year as head coach. Let's hear from veteran Danny Green, who's played for some amazing coaches over the course of his career. He's won 3 championships, so he certainly, I think, knows a pretty good coach when he works with one. And this is Danny Green talking about the impact that Doc Rivers has had in year 1 as the head coach of the 76ers.
Obviously, just challenging the guys that were here before he got here, and the new guys as well, but trying to change the atmosphere, change the environment, to have a championship winning mentality environment, change the habits of guys that they had. Some of them had bad habits before we got here. So, just cleaning up some of those things. Obviously, we still have some ways to go. And this the sky's the limit for this team, because the potential is unreal with our superstars that we have, our big 3. But the things that he came in and tried to implement, change, and adapt and adjust to has helped us a ton. And then obviously we got some of our guys that help. Dwight and myself and George coming in, and obviously Tobias with some of our veteran leadership that will help some of those young guys understand and break down things for them to grasp things a lot quicker than normal. So with a combination of those things has helped us be able to win 49 games. And I think with our talent, we could have won more if we were more disciplined and had health. But we're in a good situation, fortunate enough, and put ourselves in home court advantage to be able to have it throughout the playoffs until the finals, depending on who comes out the West. But we worked really hard for it, and now we got to take care of home court and take advantage of it.
Doc Rivers, Lauren, reaching the postseason for the 17th time in his 22 years as a head coach in the NBA. That's his 6th best regular season finish in his career. He's had just such an awesome run doing what he does. And for a guy who at one point, 20 or so years ago, never thought that he would get into the whole coaching thing, he has quite the track record for himself.
Quite the track record indeed. One guy with quite the track record to another, as James Green pursues his third consecutive championship in a run that could begin today. And so I know that Doc Rivers shared a little bit of an anecdote prior to our stream about how he was getting ready for these guys to get going.
Indeed, he did. And I thought this was really cool. One thing that we've heard these guys talk about is how Doc has been such a great communicator this season and that everyone has known what their role is clearly defined. And he thought it was necessary over this past week to, this is in a full team meeting setting, address each of the players, and not in a demonstrative way, but just let them know what their role is. And beyond that, how valuable each and every single player who's on the 76ers is to this team and what they'll need to do to go on a strong playoff run. He said that in the past, he hasn't always done this, talking about Doc with his team. Sometimes he's done it before, but he felt like with this particular group, it was really important to address each player, tell them what he thinks of them, pump them up, and tell them what their value is going to be for the 76ers in the postseason. So I thought that was really, really cool. It just speaks to how effective of a communicator Doc Rivers has been and is, and a nice little nugget about how things have been going behind the scenes for the 76ers as they get ready for hopefully 16 more wins.
Well, it's interesting, Seltz. All season long, this team has talked about how Doc has kept everybody accountable. And that sounds like accountability to me, being very transparent with the entire group present. If I'm part of a team, that's the type of leadership that I would like to follow. So I love to hear that the team was able to do that this week. Sounds like a cool opportunity to be a fly on the wall, if you ask me.
Doc Rivers setting the tone for the 76ers, and he spoke during practices this week about the level of readiness he believes the 76ers have going into their opening round series against the Wizards.
Just be us. Like, we can't be anybody different, never can be. Be the best version of us. I think they're prepared, they're ready, they're eager. So yeah, that would be the message.
Audio
He's
there
been giving
for a
teams
second. Sorry, Seltz,
this
go ahead.
year.
I got you now.
No, just saying how Doc has been really straightforward throughout this season, and he's kept it, I think, in a really good way, cut and dry, whether it's just the message that he's been giving to the team collectively throughout the season or saying to someone like Tobias Harris, be decisive, or Ben Simmons, you just do what you do really well and don't worry about the other stuff. I think that's helped the Sixers a lot.
And that type of leadership trickles down. The team has discussed the way that they speak with one another, the way that they hold each other accountable, they support each other through mistakes. Furkan Korkmaz actually talked about that a couple of days ago, the way that when someone makes a mistake, the other guys are there to talk them through it and to help them prepare better for those opportunities in the future. There's no chastising one another, and there's no bickering on the bench. It's really constructive, and I thought that was nice to hear. Clearly, Doc setting the tone at the top there.
At the top of the 76ers roster, without a doubt, it's Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Awesome to find out a few days ago that Joel was named as one of 3 finalists for MVP, along with Nikola Jokic and Steph Curry, and Ben Simmons was named one of 3 finalists for Defensive Player of the Year. This is voted on by the media. The votes actually wrapped up on May 17th. We won't find out who the winner is until a little bit later on in the postseason when it's announced on television. But simply, Lauren, I mean, listen, the rising tide lifts all ships. And for the Sixers, we know, for those of us who have watched this year, how special a season Joel Embiid had, and also Ben Simmons.
Well, the two of them have been a delight to watch all season. Doc Rivers, of course, believes that they should both win those awards, and he, like I, am biased, but it's been great to see them support each other in those pursuits as well.
Ben Simmons knows that even though he's considered one of the best defensively in the NBA, he's got some more room to do more damage, and he reflected on that at practice this week.
It means a lot, to have him, think that of me. I got a long way to go to obviously, continue to get better defensively. There's a lot of things I want to work on and get better at for my teammates, especially with this run that we have coming up. I think I got to play a big part and big role and be in that defensive anchor. So, I'm looking forward to this playoff run.
And when you look at Washington's roster, Lauren, their strength is where obviously in the backcourt with Bradley Beal, who finished second in the league in scoring this year, and Russell Westbrook, who was first in triple-doubles. You can pick and choose, Ben, depending on who's doing what. He could go out and get either one of them. He played in 2 of the 3 games the 76ers had against Washington this season, and most of the time he spent on Westbrook. I personally wouldn't be surprised if we see, at some point maybe mix it up a bit, depending on what's going on in the game. If Ben gets more of an opportunity on Beal.
Yeah, as usual, I'm trying to catch up in the comments on this 765 Countdown stream. A lot of people want to see Ben get some minutes on Bradley Beal because he didn't get those touches or those possessions during the regular season. But that being said, the Sixers still did win all 3 games. So if it's not broken, maybe you don't need to fix it. But if you have Ben Simmons as an option, maybe you use him. Seems like the Sixers are going to have options no matter what, especially around the perimeter. The defensive wings on this team are very strong, and I'm going to talk to you more about that in just a little bit.
We'll hear from Dwight Howard on Inside Access and Jason Crafton, who goes inside the matchup to break it down with the Wizards. We mentioned this earlier, the 76ers, one of their areas of focus this past week, defense, which, may, to some people on the outside, be like, they were pretty darn good on defense throughout this season. Second in the NBA in defensive rating at 107, and they were tied for first in steals, second in blocks. But as we hear from Tobias Harris, he feels like the 76ers really can tighten things up on the defensive end of the floor, which I think for this series in particular with this matchup is absolutely going to be critical.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Tobias said actually that there are 4 Defensive Player of the Year candidates on this team. He mentioned Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Matisse Thybulle, and then he had to think for a second, and he decided on Danny Green as that 4th option, even though he too has improved quite a bit on defense. But when you think about the options that they have, the matchup sort of falls in the Sixers' favor on defense as it has all season long.
All right, let's see if we can hear from Tobias Harris, and he takes us inside what's been going on at practice.
Number one, transition defense for us. That would be an understatement if, throughout this these couple of days that we have to practice. So transition, communication, that's another thing. A lot of times we're out there playing and not using our voices on the defensive end, which has cost us a lot of easy points for other teams. So those 2 things I think will be at the top of the list. And then on top of that, just us, knowing each other's spots on the court and knowing how we can help one another out there. Obviously, we'll see, who we match up with and different guys' tendencies. But if we can lock down on the transition, our communication, I think we'll be fine.
Tobias Harris, obviously one of the essential veterans for the 76ers, doing so great on the leadership front. And this year, Lauren, more so even than I think years past, there has been great leadership with the Sixers. But this year, there's some vets who have some rings, something Tobias is going for, who have really helped set the tone.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Danny Green and Dwight Howard, of course, coming off of that championship season with the Los Angeles Lakers. It's been a pleasure to get to know both of them. Dwight Howard always brings a little bit of spice and a little bit of oomph to his media, and he did just that yesterday when I got to catch up with him.
Hi, Dwight. How are you?
How you doing? I'm good.
I'm doing well. It seems like you're very excited, Dwight. When you reflect on the season so far, what has this journey been like for you guys, and what are you most excited about for these next steps?
The journey's been amazing. I've seen so much growth in our team, from top to bottom, from Ben to Joel, Furkan, Cork Mats, Shake. The list goes on. I think everybody on this team has grown this year. On the court and off the court, we've all become a lot closer as teammates, as family. the coaching staff, all of us we feel like we're all on the same page. So it's been an amazing year. It's not over with yet. We are not satisfied. We are happy with where we've put the position that we put ourselves in, but we know that the work is just about to begun.
Dwight, you told us when you first got here that your biggest honor was going to be helping Joel along, and that you really wanted to make sure that you could support him like however you could. And obviously you've done a great job of that this season. How do you plan to take that to the next level as you back him up in these playoffs?
Just continue to inspire and push him to be the best Joel Embiid he can be. He's amazing. I really I'm excited for this playoffs. I think he's really going to be very assertive. Be more aggressive than he was in the regular season. I think you'll see a different animal. Well, not saying he hasn't been an animal, but I think if he was a lion, now he's coming out like, what's the dad? Is it not Simba? Mufasa. The dad. That's Mufasa, right? Yeah. He ain't little Simba no more. He ready. No, but I think Joel's going to be great. I'm super excited. He seems like he's, very anxious to get ready to start this playoffs. And Ben looks great in practice. All our guys look great. So I'm just looking forward to the playoffs.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dwight, and good luck.
You're welcome.
Dwight Howard, ever the character. I loved the way that he characterized his teammates. Of course, in the comments, I saw a lot of people asking whether or not Dwight really knew the plot of The Lion King, but I think the sentiment was all there. Joel Embiid, always been a lion, but now he's the father figure. Now he's the king of Pride Rock, whether or not the plot sort of falls in favor of Mufasa in that one.
First, big shout out to our guy, Rob King, for helping Dwight along with stringing together the plot line. I think not to really, split brass taxes here. I think we could just maybe Joe's just going to grow up to be older Simba. Maybe he's walking across the log with Timon and Pumbaa, and he grows up right before our eyes. I mean, Mufasa, I would take Mufasa, but maybe it's just older Simba.
I am all about all of these references. I'm okay with any successful lion comparison to Joel Embiid. He's been wonderful this season and is the king of this team's, I guess, ecosystem, we could say.
Well, we've loved throughout the season here on 7-6 Live Countdown, getting down to business with Jason Crafton. Jay, a former assistant with the Delaware Bluecoats. He also worked with Jay Wright, Hall of Famer Jay Wright at Villanova, and is now the head coach at University of Maryland Eastern Shore. He takes us inside some scouting tips looking at the Wizards.
It's Jay Crafton. It's time to go inside the matchup. The Wizards are the #1 team in pace, so really slowing them down in transition is going to be huge. The way they get that thing going is with Russell Westbrook. He really pushes the basketball, does a great job of kicking the ball ahead in transition and getting their forwards and their guards easy plays at the basket. He's getting 11 assists per game, so he's a lead at this. The other thing he does outside of kicking the ball ahead is he does a great job pushing the basketball off the bounce and putting extreme pressure on the rim, a la what we see Ben Simmons do for the Sixers. So I can see the Sixers doing a great job of trying to really get out and stop the basketball as early as possible and show a crowd to eliminate his ability to get confidence to get downhill, to find guys on driving kick and dump offs around the rim. Now let's talk about pick and rolls and ball screens. You got guard-on-guard screens that are going to happen in the transition, where they're going to get step-ups, all right? And Russell's going to still try to get downhill off that screen. If he can't, you're going to see him coming back to his right hand and try to drive that ball and intensely get to the rim as much as he possibly can. I really like the way the Sixers guarded their guard-on-guard step-ups last time. Danny Green went under as much as he possibly could. You're not really worried about the three-point shot. You're really worried about trying to stop his ability to get downhill. I like how the Sixers showed two guys and then recovered and eliminated his ability to have that type of confidence. The last ball screen scenario you're going to have is going to be with 5-man. All right, 5-man pick and roll scenarios are going to be huge for the Wizards. And I love how the Sixers do it in terms of being in a drop coverage that really eliminated Russell's confidence to be able to get downhill. This is Jay Crafton, and you just went inside the matchup.
Always great to hear from Jay. And we give a bravo round of applause to our man, Trevor Gaffney. Excellent work behind the scenes, producing that segment for us, and excited to hear from Jay as the postseason run for the 76ers go along. We are about an hour and change away from game one of the Eastern Conference Quarters against the Washington Wizards. They finished the season 17-6. Let us get now to our keys to today's game. Here on 7-6 Live Countdown, and Lauren, we can start with you.
Well, so I've talked about this key to the game all week long. The Wizards do not have a matchup for Joel Embiid that will be able to contain him in a meaningful way, in my opinion. But where they do have matchups are around the perimeter. We've talked all show long about Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. So a lot of the weight is going to fall to the Sixers wings to defend them. I said flying wings, fly around on the defensive end the way you can. I'm looking at you, Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, Danny Green, George Hill. The list does go on from there. Furkan Korkmaz, Shake Milton have done a good job upping their game on the defensive end. If that group of wings can contain or at least slow down those two, I think the Sixers will be in good shape all series long.
Absolutely right. I think that George Hill, he could be in position to really have a nice impact in this series, continue to knock off some rust, and then defensively do his thing against some of those Wizards guards. My key is perfect the pace. Find the right pace for you 76ers for this series. One thing that Washington with Westbrook out there and Beal are really good at, they play fast. They led the NBA in pace this season. Over their final 23 games, they went 17-6. They increased their pace by about 10 possessions per game. We know the 76ers can play fast. They have a guy who is one of the most elite players in Ben Simmons at setting a fast pace. So I think it's something they'll be ready for, but try and perfect the pace, play at the right pace for you. And those are our keys to the game.
I love that key, Seltz. Your man, Ben Simmons, just came out to warm up right behind me. It could be a very big series for him, as you and I talked about on our Twitter Spaces chat the other day. He's looking strong headed into the playoffs and confident. He's talked so much about where he wants to be for his teammates for this playoff run, and I'm looking forward to him being able to demonstrate everything that he's prepared for. Keep in mind, he missed last year's playoffs, and I think that that's really stuck with him. So it'll be cool to see the way that he embraces the opportunities ahead in the coming weeks.
What we saw to start the show about a half hour ago was Tobias Harris warming up. What we did not see was what Tobias Harris wore entering the arena for today's game. Wow.
Let's go.
You know, you, Tobias, and Tiger Woods, Sunday afternoon Reds. Maybe that's the theme. I don't know.
Believe it or not, Tobias and I did not coordinate outfits today, but it does kind of look like we did. I think he, of course, wore the Reds better. He's really upped his fashion game over the last couple of seasons, Celtics. Today, of course, no different. Okay, now you're really going to put me side by side with Tobias Harris? That doesn't seem super fair. I did my best to look fresh today, but my red versus his red, I don't know. I got to give it to Tobias on this one, and I am happy to lose that battle.
All right. Well, thank you to Trevor Gaffney and Ryan Coletti, Allie Pinter operating things behind the scenes. Lauren, awesome to see you down there on the floor, getting great access as we launch our postseason coverage here on 7-6 Live Countdown. We'll do it before every game, every round, 90 minutes ahead of time. Be on the lookout for our new postseason podcast series tomorrow, Fanatic About the Playoffs. It'll be me, Lauren, and the host from the Fanatic. We'll drop it around noon or a little bit after that. Enjoy the game, and hopefully we're talking about a 1-0 Sixers lead at around 5:30 on Wednesday night. Have fun.